Hi, my name's Andre. I go to Hunter College High School. I'm a rising junior there. And for the second milestone on my project, I actually built a functional prototype and I began playing around with some code for it. So before I get into the details, I'd like to show you some people's reactions just trying it out for the first time.
So let's see if we can
Oh,
find a way to
nice.
fix that. If
Pretty
not,
cool.
Awesome.
um, Didn't you? Yeah, go for it.
That's awesome.
This is about to be really weird. Oh, hey, whoa. Nice.
Oh, there we go. Whoa, that's crazy.
Alright, you can play with
That's
that.
so cool.
Whoa. This is so sweet.
Whoa.
So the way the headband works is it consists of these 16 little vibrating motors that are spaced evenly around the actual band, which is a piece of foam padding that I found on Amazon. And I began building this thing by looking up the circumference of an average head, which is about 23 inches, and I cut this strip of foam to be a little longer than that for some leeway. And then I marked even intervals on the band such that I could fit 16 of these. And then I just put them on with some double-sided tape. Now this was a start, but I needed to get all the wiring neatly to the edges of the headband. So the way I did that was I started by having a common ground for all of the motors, and I basically chained them starting from the front, going all the way to the edges, and I split them up to the 8 ones on the left and the 8 ones on the right, so that they had 2 ground wires that met back here. The actual power wires were a little more tricky because I couldn't just have one wire for every motor. So I did that by having a ribbon cable that I gradually separated more and more for each motor, and I soldered it. And it was actually really tricky. The motor wires are really small. It was like doing surgery. Like I had to have a tiny little solder wire instead of like the normal thick ones. And I put heat shrink on every connection so that nothing was exposed, so that nothing would get torn as I was experimenting with it later on. And so I ended up with, here you can see the 2 ribbon cables coming out on either side, and then the 2 ground wires up here. And to actually experiment with turning on the motors, I had to have some kind of way to control those connections. So I actually took a tiny little adhesive breadboard and I attached it back here to one edge of the headband, and I plugged in all the things that I needed to experiment with. So I had my small Arduino and my compass chip, and each motor takes up a separate pin on the Arduino, so that's 16 pins for 16 motors. I'm just having that for now to test it, but in the future I'll probably change that because it's really inefficient. At this point I realized I actually had to have some way to secure it snugly to someone's head. So I stapled this Velcro strap to the one edge of the headband, and then I hacked together a duct tape latch on the other edge so it's adjustable. So the first test with my software was actually not very successful. What I had was it would just run the motor that was closest to north based on the compass readings, and it didn't actually feel very precise. It just felt like your whole head was vibrating. So I didn't want that. So after some experimenting, I found what really worked well was a pulsing. So I would have it turn on for 50 milliseconds and then off for 100 milliseconds. So just like a precise little tapping in the right direction instead of a thing that was like shaking your entire head. And I'm pretty happy with how that's working right now. So for the future, hopefully I'm going to keep up this rate of progress, and my next steps are to make this a lot more neat. Instead of having a breadboard, I want to design a custom circuit and have it ordered to be printed at a fabrication house, and then I'll just solder all the things in and have connectors for the motors rather than just having them go into each pin of the Arduino. And yeah, but this is it for now. Thank you.